dropped off my youngest. Feels like an emotional day for me because I'm now a divorced empty nester, which is another weird thing. Did go with my ex-husband, my son's father, which was great. We were able to get through another drop-off together. This is our second. And sometimes things come up that I don't particularly, things are said or whatever that I am not in alignment with as far as how he parents. But I think it might just be like a boy-dad thing and something that I just can't understand. And so I try to let a lot of things just go because, first of all, I can't control it. And second of all, it just doesn't matter at the end of the day. And that is really what I've learned. A lot of what I've learned is don't sweat the small stuff because a lot of it is small stuff. And my son is going to have a relationship with his father different than I'm going to have a relationship with him. And they're going to have their own things that they think are funny or things that they do that moms may not think are funny. And so over the last 10 years, it's taken me a long time to learn that there's so many things that are out of my control. And sometimes when you're sad or when you're going through a divorce, you try to control things in a different manner. You may want to try to control it through money in your divorce negotiations or through, and this camera keeps slipping, so I keep adjusting it. Thinking that you're going to get more money in your divorce because somebody did something wrong to you or whatever, and none of that is going to happen. So it's really hard to try to adjust your expectations and not bring emotion into it. So many times I see women that talk to me and think that they are going to get maybe all the equity in the house because their spouse did something bad to them, and that's just not going to happen. So if you can get off of those counterproductive positions and take a stand that's more reasonable and take the emotion out of it and realize that when you're going through a divorce, you're really going through the lawsuit. So it's really financial. It's all about the finances, and it's all about what is legal in your state and how your assets are going to be divided and how things are calculated. The court system does not care that your spouse was, in your mind, a narcissist, does not care that your spouse cheated on you. Now, if your spouse was spending money inappropriately on their cheating partner or whatever, that can come into play. But for the most part, none of that really matters to the courts. But that's not really what I wanted to talk about. I really wanted to talk about the things that I have learned over the last 10 years and the things that I think are meaningful to people when you have children, and more on the co-parenting side, because I do feel like we've done a very good job with co-parenting, and that has really been something that I know both of us have worked on, because it was important for our kids to feel supported and to feel like they have a family still that they can rely on, and that we're not always at each other's throats about everything. And when you talk badly about your co-parent, it reflects on the way that your children feel about themselves, because let's face it, they're half of the other person. And it's a real struggle if you're talking badly about that person. They don't know how to align themselves, and they really love their dad or their mom. If you're talking badly about them, what do? Just in friendships, sometimes people talk badly about other people, and then people feel that they have to align themselves, whether they don't talk to you again because you don't like that other person, or whether they don't talk to that other person again because you don't like that person. It's kind of the same thing. And you're really putting your children in a really bad position to make a choice. They don't have to make a choice. They have two parents. Regardless of your feelings about that other person, it's really important that you try to do your best, because at the end of the day, you're going to be in each other's lives for the rest of your lives if you have children together. And you can't just brush that under the rug and not deal with that person when they have, it's really foggy too, so I'm trying to probably not do something very safe, which is film myself talking on camera. And I think I'm going to put this on hold for a minute and then come back. Okay, much better. My windows are now clear. As I was saying previously, it's really important that you try to figure out a way to be a good co-parent. Even if your relationship didn't work out, you still have to be a co-parent, whether you like it or not. If you have children together, you need to figure out a way to reinvent your relationship so that your children don't have to make choices. They don't have to feel that you're trying to divide them or separate them from their parent. They have the right to have two parents, even if you're divorced. So some of the ways that we have done that over the years that I think have been really helpful for simple things such as birthdays or celebrations. I typically buy the gifts. We come up with a budget between the two of us of what we want to combine to spend. And when we come up with that budget, I go buy the gifts, I wrap the gifts, and then we give them from mom and dad. Not from mom, not from just dad. We give them from mom and dad.
Hi, friends. Thanks so much for watching today. If you learned anything or felt like there was any takeaways, please leave a comment for me. I would love to hear from you. And please like and subscribe this video. It really is meaningful to me and helps me build the channel and know that I'm on the right track. So thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.
And that makes it a lot better than one person giving socks and the other person giving an Xbox or something like that. I found that is really helpful. We give gifts together, and that way there's no one-upping each other. It's if one person's giving an Xbox and the other is giving socks, unfortunately, that would probably make the child more aligned with the parent that has more resources because they're kids and they like things and they like toys and they like to have stuff. We have done that, and that has worked really well for Christmas, for birthdays, for all the holidays, even Valentine's Day. I still give my children Valentine's and maybe some chocolate or something like that. And I put from mom and dad on it, or love mom and dad. And I don't ever give them anything. I shouldn't say ever, because we do still buy them stuff individually, more out of necessity sometimes. You need a new pair of shoes or something like that. We used to, when they were young, we used to say, hey, kids need shoes. And I'd go buy shoes, and then we would split the cost of the shoes or split the cost because kids' clothes and kids' shoes are expensive. So we try to always split things that were necessities for the kids. Sometimes you may want to just buy them a t-shirt or something that they want. But for the most part, for holiday stuff, it's important, like big holiday celebrations such as Christmas or birthdays, we buy combined gifts. The other thing that we do is we have a family chat, a family text, group text. And this was really helpful for us over the years because if my kids said that they were going over to somebody's house and they had already asked their dad, or they said that they were going to do something and they had already asked their dad, I didn't want to say no or whatever. We would discuss it in our group chat. And we'd say, hey, my oldest said he was going to go do this thing. And is it cool with you? And then it would be all out there for everybody to read yes or no. And then everybody would know where everybody was. And there wouldn't be any secrets. It's somebody going somewhere saying dad said it was okay. And then them really not saying it was okay, because kids do that anyways. They try to go to dad if mom says no and go to mom if dad says no. So we try to eliminate that by having a group text that we try to put everything on, and still do, which is great because it eliminates them having to tell mom things and then dad asking a bunch of questions or telling mom things and then mom asks, or whatever, the vice versa. It just eliminates a lot of them having to feel split down the road, down the middle, from everybody asking a bunch of questions. When if we put it all there, then everybody gets to read it. The other thing that we did was when the kids got older, of course, had a parenting plan when they were young, but that is just guidelines. People get so caught up in dropping off the kids at 5 p.m. on Friday, and then people get worked up, and they get worked up more so out of trying to, I think, emotionally trying to make sure that things are equitable and fair. But if you're looking out and you're focusing on your kids, you do what's best for your kids. And sometimes life gets in the way. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a kid thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that, or it's a parent thing, I guess I should say. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a parent thing. The parent's not trying to derail anything. Sometimes it's just a life thing. You need to take a step back and say, is this just a life thing? Because maybe they were late because there was traffic or something like that. Not because they were trying to be disrespectful and not drop the kids off at 5 o'clock. Maybe there was traffic or they ran into an issue or the kids wanted to go do something else. And you should always go straight to attack of your co-parent just because the court order wasn't followed. And I think that's really sad. And I have seen cases where people are being dropped off at police stations because they can't be adults and come together and figure out how to do drop-offs without getting in huge altercations with each other about being in alignment with how to parent their children. And that is when really horribly sad. To imagine dropping your kid off at a police station and having to be picked up at a police station. That's just talk about damage. And really, most of the time, when people come to me, they want to keep the house because they want to keep the kids stable. And so they really are trying to focus on the kids. And they really are trying to make sure that the kids are okay. Just because you're going through a divorce doesn't mean that your kids can't be okay. Your kids can be okay. You just have to find ways that support your children. And if you can both come together and understand that you had children for a reason and out of love, and just because your relationship didn't work out doesn't mean that you can't figure it out and make sure that the kids have a great upbringing and feel supported and feel loved. And if they do, if they have two parents that love them, even if they're living in separate homes, then your kids are going to be okay. And you're not going to have to worry about your kid. That's really important. The other thing I think is to really be in alignment with activities that the kids have. That was a really hard one for me because my kids were in sports and they were in baseball and they were on multiple baseball teams when they were young. And if you have kids that are in travel sports, you know how many baseball games that could be and how many hours of time that can consume. And I wasn't a huge baseball fan, so that was really hard for me. I didn't really like baseball to begin with. Now I loved seeing my kids excel and seeing my kids have fun and all of that. But sometimes it was just a pure struggle trying to get them to their practices and trying to make sure that they were fed and trying to make sure their uniforms were clean and trying to make sure that they had their baseball gloves and everything when I wasn't a huge fan of it to begin with. And my co-parent was a huge baseball fan and and grew up loving baseball. And so to him, it was amazing and great, fabulous and all that kind of stuff. And so I really had to try and bite my tongue a lot and just try to do it for my kids and get out of my way. Was I perfect? No, it was not. Did I make mistakes? Yes, I did. And did I say thanks because I was frustrated? Yes, I did. But the other thing that we did really is we said sorry. We said sorry to each other. You can still be sorry. You can still respect somebody as a human and as the co-parent of your children. And you don't have to be a jerk. You don't. If you are a jerk and you realize that you're a jerk, and I've been a jerk over the years, and I try to really look at the big picture and really look at things and say, what do I want this relationship to be? And at the end of the day, I still know that we're family. We're still a family, even though it looks different. And I do apologize. And I say, I'm sorry. And I say, I'm sorry I was being an ass. And that could be really helpful and not build a further wedge between the two. And it has served me well over the years. And it has served us well as a family And he has done the same. If we can't communicate sometimes when we're on the phone and we're talking about something that's hard, like a hard subject to talk about, it's usually money or raising children. And sometimes he thinks differently about raising children than I do. When it has different rules, are they wrong or right? No, they're all rules. And I've tried to let go of a lot of things that I was very adamant about because there's just nothing I could do at times to force somebody to live the way that I think that people should live. And that's just all a template. It's just all a blueprint of how I was raised or things that happen to be in life where I think of certain things are the way that they should be. And it doesn't mean it's right. And so I really tried to let go of a lot of that. And it's taken me time. It's definitely taken me time. And I've not been perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And he is the same. I think that he doesn't say things because I think it should be one way or whatever. But for the most part, our kids, I think, have figured out no mom is and figured out how dad is. And they live somewhere in the middle. Or maybe they live with him, they maybe are different. I don't know. I don't know. And that's not something that I get to know because I am not in that relationship anymore. So I'm not always around my kids. Now my kids, when we got divorced, they were 8, 10. Now my kids are 18 and 20. And as I just take my youngest to college and now am an empty nester, I realize that so much of it is just small stuff and it goes by so fast. Don't miss it. Really don't miss it because it's going to go by in the blink of an eye. If you are spending all of your time bitter and angry and just trying to make everybody miserable, including yourself, you're going to miss it. And you're going to feel regret. And that's the worst thing to feel is regret because you can't fix it. You can't go back in time. So try to do your best every day with what you have and try to just be kind. One of my biggest things is just be kind.
Hi, friends. Thanks so much for watching today. If you learned anything or felt like there was any takeaways, please leave a comment for me. I would love to hear from you. And please like and subscribe this video. It really is meaningful to me and helps me build the channel and know that I'm on the right track. So thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.